more money for Ukraine, bros. Yes, the opportunity to end the Ukraine war is there. But of course, we can't do that because the Russians are Nazis. And Hitler, literally everything in the world now is collapsing down to, I guess, what you could call like the Hitler singularity, the Hitlerality, where literally every single argument, every single political argument made in the entire West can only be made on the basis of World War II. There's not much good news tonight. At least not if you're in the UK. Keir Starmer lays down Ukraine peace demand. Yes, Starmer's, apparently, I think he might actually be meeting with Trump even as we speak. Bit inconsiderate of him, actually, not to schedule the meeting before my show. He's going to lay down the law, bros, right? Starmer's going to walk in there and he's going to be like, President Trump, I have come here to lay down the law. You may regard me as some sort of strange biological aberration between a human and a houseplant, but I assure you, I am a real boy, and you will listen to me. Trump's going to be like, what the fuck are you doing here? We're not going to do it, Keir. We're not going to do it. You got to stop repressing your people. We're gonna screw you very, very hard, very, very hard. It's gonna be fabulous. Starmer's raised the stakes. Before a crucial meeting in Washington with US President Donald Trump this week, insisting that Ukraine must be at the heart of any negotiations on a peace deal with Russia. It's not happening, right? Like, it's not really. They've had 3 years to negotiate. Like, Zelensky made it illegal to negotiate with the Russians. Is it still illegal? I mean, Fox 39 forever. Good imitation. Hey, Fox, good to see you. Thank you very much. I have worked furiously on my Keir Starmer impression. I had the help of many communities in order to help me be as, emotionless as possible. When I do this voice, I just think of a blank grey field. The human equivalent of paint drying. The Prime Minister made the remarks which run directly contrary to comments by the US President last week in a phone call on Saturday with Vladimir Zelensky, in which he also said that safeguarding Ukraine's sovereignty was essential to deter future aggression from Russia. Man, imagine if they cared that much about England's borders, man, right? Like, it's just like, we have to dismantle the entire economy and print like gajillions of like dollars to, defend Ukraine's borders, because Ukraine is like, where England ends, or Lord and Saints preserve us. Starmer is likely to tell the US that the UK will raise its defense spending to 2.5% of GDP. Great. Where are they going to get the money for this? Whatever. And then Zelensky basically said, I am happy to resign for the sake of peace, but you must give me NATO membership so that we can pull all of Europe and America into World War III. Until we have World War III against Putin, I will not be satisfied. There are still Ukrainians alive, and I cannot allow this. There will be peace when all Ukrainians are dead. So of course this was a ridiculous offer, right? He's like, I care about peace. All you got to do is give me the thing that's likely to bring World War III, and I'll step down. I wouldn't believe a word that fucker says. And then he comes out with this, right? I mean, not to how do I put this politely? Not to bang on the stereotype or anything, but he's like, what do you mean the 300 billion, right? Like, why are you hassling me for the 100 billion, right? Like, what about the 50 billion? Oh yeah, I'm not paying any of it back. You can fuck off. Well, I mean, what did you expect?
Я знаю, що у нас було 100. І це факт. І я не збираюсь визнавати 500. Хто б що не говорив, як би ми не спілкувались. При всій повазі, ще раз, при всій повазі до партнерів, але, я стійко стою, тому що це правдива ситуація. Абсолютно ми праві. І друга ситуація, якщо чесно, навіть 100 мільярдів я не готовий фіксувати. Поясню чому. Поясню чому. Тому що ми не маємо визнавати гранти як борги. Подобається це чи не подобається? Я домовлявся з Байденом і домовлявся з Конгресом Сполучених Штатів Америки. Я вдячен Конгресу. Це була присутність двох партій. Я знаю.
So yeah, thanks for all the money. No, we're not paying any of that back. We're not going to do anything that you say. Thank you very, very much. I know that, from your end, it looks like 300 or 400 billion went out. But actually, we received much, much less than that, right? You remember, like, literally after Trump went in, Zelensky's like, oh, yeah, it looks like 100 billion of that is, like, missing. So, I mean, I guess the next thing basically is to audit all the money that went to Ukraine. I have a sneaky suspicion that it's going to, like, wind up a lot more than Zelensky is claiming. It's not just the military aid, of course. The US has basically, the US and the EU have basically been supporting the entirety of Ukraine at this point, right? They have, been paying for the wages for the entire government, all the infrastructure, everything. Every single time, like something like, electric gets destroyed, they are rebuilding it. Now, this comes down to the minerals deal. I was actually talking a fair bit about this on the Redux Report on Saturday night. I'm now doing so many shows that by the time my next show comes around, it's all old news to me. But yes, basically, the Americans came and they said, well, look, we reckon you owe us about $500 billion. How about, you let us develop all of your minerals, and then we'll take half of the profits of those and we'll put it in like sort of like a fund. And once it hits 500 billion, you're done, right? Like that's it, right? And Zelensky is like, no, I'm not doing it. He basically said that he would, and then the U.S. Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent went all the way to Kiev. Took like a train across Ukraine and stuff to see him. And then when he arrived, Zelensky didn't see him. Basically, he was asleep. And then when he did get around to like seeing him, he apparently yelled at him, and then said like, no, we're not doing it. Boris Johnson, of course, came out and was like, maybe you should sign the mineral deal. The idea behind this basically was that if the US was developing these resources in Ukraine, there would be American installations on the ground, which would give the US a reason to protect them. But, the Ukrainians, Zelensky is not keen. Here's Boris basically talking about it. He's in Kiev at the moment, by the way, for peace, right? Because, that's what Boris is all about, right? Like he's the peace candidate.
And all the language that we're hearing about Ukraine being responsible for the war. I mean, you might as well say that the swimmers were responsible for attacking the shark in Jaws. Or if you look at the...
Oh, yes. Compare a complicated geopolitical situation to a movie that everyone's seen. I see what you're doing, you mop-headed bastard.
The text on the table with the minerals agreement, it contains in it, I think, things that are very promising for Ukraine. It commits the United States to a free, sovereign and secure Ukraine, and it commits the United States to future financing of Ukraine. Now, that is very, very important. And
speaking of international flows of money, please don't forget, you can send tips on Entropy, rants on Rumble. You can send me coins on Odyssey. You can even send me like Monero and Bitcoin. If you want, please, I do need the Earth monies so that I can live and breathe. Very, very important stuff. I promise that any monies sent to me will probably be spent on beer, keeping me alive.
We need Earth monies to appear as normal Earth peaks. Mini Moose, how much have we earned?
Ha! Tuna is worth nothing, my ass. Have you seen the price of tuna recently? Simon JJ, Newsfist is owed 500 billion. Yes, that's absolutely. I totally am. You can't see the piece of paper on the agreement or anything like that. It's top secret national security. You understand? But trust me, bros. Yes, I am definitely owed 500 billion. And we need to take it. We need to take it out of the taxpayers that are watching this show. Obviously. So look, get ahead before I send the tax collectors around to your house to shake you by the legs, and get that money out of you. Yeah. Thank you very much. Right. What else have we got here? Oh yeah. So the EU was like, we're gonna do even more sanctions. We're gonna do more sanctions. To which my first response was, wait, there's still stuff left that can be sanctioned. I was under the impression they had sanctioned everything that had been sanctioned. I guess they probably have like an office of 500 people just like researching like new ways they can sanction Russia. So they banned 8 Russian media outlets from broadcasting in Europe, like there are any Russian media outlets broadcasting in Europe at this point. 48 individuals and 35 organizations were blacklisted. Excuse me. 13 banks were disconnected from SWIFT. Oh, we got a super chat from Stumbling. Where's the smoking dollar bill? Thank you very, very much, Simon JJ. $15, a small dent in that 500 million. Thank you very much. I'll write it down on your record, Simon JJ. And then when the IRS kicks in your door, you can claim this. We're going to take all of your stuff. But if you keep a receipt, you will be able to send it later. And if the IRS feels like it, they will give you the money back later, maybe, possibly, right? We're not going to stress about it, right? And from Stumbling as well. For $5, please only use these monies to educate African pygmies about pansexual arts and crafts. Thank you very, very much, Stumbling. I will indeed write that down. Pansexual arts and crafts for pygmies. Maybe we can teach them, to make those like weird crotch coverings in LGBTQIA colors. I mean, that would be absolutely great. Thank you so much, chaps. I really, really appreciate it. So they disconnected 13 banks from SWIFT. How big are these banks, right? Like, is any Russian connected bank? This is the other thing. I think they're actually branching out from just Russian banks now, and they're now basically sanctioning people that do business with Russia. This is known as secondary sanctions. I wouldn't say this is a great idea for the EU. Personally, they are increasingly just isolating themselves from the rest of the world. But, when has any of this made any sense? The EU has banned its businesses from conducting transactions with a number of ports and airports in Russia. Oh, great. The price of everything is going to go up. Restricted supplies of software, equipment, and technologies for oil and gas production. More bankruptcies, presumably. The import of aluminium has been banned. Aren't they trying to ramp up their military? Oh, I know what we're going to ramp up military production and ban the import of aluminium from Russia. Yeah, you do that, bros. You do that. That's gonna, there you go. And they've imposed sanctions on 74 vessels allegedly linked to Russia. They've banned export of aircraft, and the export of gaming consoles to Russia. Oh, this is going to really hurt all of those EU-made gaming consoles. What? Yes. The EU box. The famous EU gaming console that comes preloaded, right? With a taser on the bottom of the controller that shocks your hand if you ever say anything wrong. And they banned the export of chromium compounds and chemical precursors for chloropicrin to Russia, which is probably the last chemical that they even export. So yes, they are truly retarded. All the peoples, all the great and good peoples, they're all in Kyiv at the moment, celebrating the third year anniversary of Project Ukraine. Look at them all there. Standing up to the Putla, making sure that their arms are well down, by the way, right? I was probably, instructed, make sure that your arms are firmly by your side. We don't want anyone doing like this or, having, could look a bit bad. Make sure all of your arms are firmly at your sides. Thank you very, very much. And more money for Ukraine. It's another, it's basically like the country version of me shilling for super chats. Except, obviously there's a lot more money. So Canada's sending $5 billion. Because Canada can afford it, obviously, right? Everything's going great in Canada. The EU's got another $3.5 billion. I mean, it's fine, right? Money doesn't really exist. It's all good.
I can announce that a new 3.5 billion euro payment for Ukraine will arrive already in March. Second, as President Costa just has announced, there will be a special European Council, and I will present at this special European Council a comprehensive plan for defense investment, for scaling up our European arms production and defense capabilities, but also for investment in Ukraine's defense industry, scaling up your arms production, your defense capabilities. So this will be a plan for the European Union and for Ukraine. And then there's a third point I want to speak about. That is energy. For 3 years, Russia has sought to plunge Ukraine into darkness by relentlessly targeting the energy infrastructure. Therefore, the Commission has prepared an ambitious package on energy security. The aim is to ensure a resilient, a secure, competitive energy system for Ukraine. Together, we have managed during this winter already to provide 1.8 gigawatt. But
excuse me, Frau von der Leyen, Christopher Carrion, Newsfist News, fascist, obviously. Don't your people, actually inside the European Union and the businesses they depend upon need that energy? Right, of course. I've been told to shut the fuck up, or they're going to drag me out the back and beat me for being a fascist. So there you go. Straight from the horse lady's mouth. The people in the EU obviously do not need that energy. EU, of course, having famously cheap energy prices at the moment. It's so cheap, mate. Like here, right? Energy in the UK is so cheap. People are literally walking around, just like, glowing brightly. The Bitcoin mining sector here is just booming. Anything that you want to do that's highly energy intensive. Europe is the place to go. Livia Drusilla, what about the lack of energy in Germany? Livia, have you considered shutting the fuck up? That seems like a bit racist or possibly fascist or something, right? We don't ask questions like that. Can't you see they are in Kyiv? We've got a war on. Oh my God, goodness, I can't believe my chat is filled with people who would ask such questions.
But now we will fully integrate Ukraine's and Moldova's electricity market in our own electricity market by the end of next year. And we will seize the full potential of Ukraine's vast gas storage.
Now, look, if previous shenanigans by Ukraine is any indication, what this probably means is the Ukrainians are going to start siphoning energy off from the European grid and selling it on to other people, which is what they were sort of famously doing with gas and oil from the Russians. I see no possible way that this could go wrong.
Storages, of which 80% are located closer to the EU member states, and this will generate income for Ukraine. And we will accelerate investment in Ukraine's renewable energy. All these efforts will result in greater energy security for both the European Union and Ukraine.
How is this going to result in greater energy security for the EU? Source required? Frau von der Leyen? Frau Horsenfeisen? How is this? I mean, unless she's basically saying low-key that the EU is going to start developing like oil and gas reserves inside Ukraine. What the fuck? Oh, look, don't worry about it, right? Like, stop expecting these people to make any sense, bros. It's pointless. Trudeau's up there. Justin Castro. Oh, he's there, bros. He's ready to be on board. He wants to sit at the big boys' table.
We're also dispersing the first installment of the $5 billion in assistance to Ukraine. We're also dispersing.
There you go, Canada bros. I hope you didn't need any of that money for, I don't know, food or anything. Don't worry. They're just going to import like another million jeets that will make up for it.
That's why I am announcing Canada will be providing 25 more LAV-3 infantry fighting vehicles to Ukraine. We will be delivering 2 armored combat support vehicles, which Ukrainian forces will be trained on shortly in Germany. Landing systems for F-16s were delivered just 2 months ago, and 4 F-16 flight simulators will be provided in the coming months. And that's on top of the millions of additional rounds of ammunition, components. That's why I am announcing Canada will be providing 25 more LAV-3.
Oh my God, he's such a faggot. Just, every single time I see him, I'm just like, get out, Jed Nancy boy. So yeah, so they're sending 2 armored vehicles. Woo! A whole 2 armored vehicles. That's gonna change the course of the war, bro. Apparently, Canada and a bunch of countries, they're sending like jets over to Ukraine. The latest suggestion by Sama is they want to get a bunch of F-16s and base them in Poland and then fly them up and down the Ukraine border. I'm sure that's going to go really badly wrong. The Russians have already said, like, don't do that. We'll shoot them out of the sky and we may just like bomb the base in Poland. But of course, if they bomb the base in Poland, all the Europeans will be like, my Article 5, I guess we got to have World War III now. Come on, America, get in the ring. It's time, right? We got to have World War III. This actually brings in a very, very interesting question, given that Trump's basically sort of saying that the peacekeepers will not be covered by Article 5. If the UK did something this stupid and, Poland got a base in Poland got bombed, would the US even acknowledge Article 5? Or would they just be like, yeah, you brought this on yourself. We see what you're doing. We know you want World War III. We've got stuff over here we got to deal with. Bugger off. And this is Jeffrey Sachs at the EU Parliament, basically schooling them on the Ukraine war. I'm a bit sus about Mr. Sachs. He used to work for the EU and sustainability. He did a lot of horrible stuff to the Russians after the fall of the Berlin Wall. But I got to say, on this, I think he's pretty spot on.
When the Soviet Union ended in 1991, the United States literally believed this is now a U.S. world, and we will do as we want. The wars in the Middle East, Serbia, the wars in Africa, these are wars that the United States led and caused. And this has been true for more than 40 years. Europe has not had any foreign policy during this period that I can figure out. No voice, no unity, no clarity, only American loyalty. Please don't have American officials as head of Europe. Have European officials. Have a European foreign policy. You're going to be living with Russia for a long time, so please negotiate with Russia. Trump and President Putin will agree to end the war. If Europe does all its great warmongering, it doesn't matter. The war is ending. Not one word is told to the American people about anything, or to you, or by any of your newspapers these days. This idea that Putin's reconstructing the Russian Empire, this is childish propaganda. So the war started. What was Putin's intention in the war? I can tell you what his intention was. When Zelensky said in 7 days, let's negotiate, I know the details of this exquisitely. I flew to Ankara to listen in detail to what the mediators were doing. Ukraine walked away unilaterally from a near agreement. Why? Because the United States told them to. I begged the Ukrainians, and I had a track record with the Ukrainians. I advised the Ukrainians. I'm not anti-Ukrainian, I'm pro-Ukrainian completely. I said, save your lives, save your sovereignty, save your territory, be neutral. Don't listen to the Americans. I repeated to them the famous adage of Henry Kissinger, that to be an enemy of the United States is dangerous, but to be a friend is fatal.
Yeah. I mean, they're not going to listen to you, bro. You can talk all you like. They're not gonna listen to you.